This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring former FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Robin Dreeke.
Rust movie armor Hannah Gutierrez-Reed on trial right now for that fatal shooting of Halyna Hutchins the other year on set. Of course, this is the Alec Baldwin movie. Alec also charged. Alec at some point will face a trial as well, unless some sort of settlement is reached. But this is one that seems to have far more chaos attached to it than I was expecting, quite honestly. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, joining me to discuss lots of, well, this person did this and that person brought that in and they shouldn't have done this and we had this accident here, but we should have, and it was great. There's no sense of normalcy here or standards, it seems. Learning all of that, I'm not that surprised that this accident did take place. What's your thoughts on what we're learning in this trial?
I'm going to throw more of my Marine Corps background hat on this one, as I sometimes do, than the FBI one, although they kind of interweave. Typically in life, when you are observing chaos, it's because there's a lack of leadership. This is exactly what was. So when you have a situation like this, horrendous murder, manslaughter, whatever, someone's going to get charged with. Now, I think a lot of people are going to get charged. And why? Because there's chaos. There's no one taking accountability that I was in charge. Everyone's pointing their fingers this way. How can you have, and I'm going to say poor, because I think, and I've read it in many articles, this armorer is a fall girl for it. Come on. She's 23. She's never done this before, and you're going to place all the responsibility for all the firearms and all the ammunition on this set without anyone really taking accountability for the safety protocols and everyone complaining about safety protocols. See, in that word, everyone, every time you use the word everyone, it says that there's no one, no one leading, no one taking accountability. Is it the producer? Is it the director? Everyone is pointing fingers this way. Everyone's running for the hills. And I think there's going to be more prosecutions as people keep pointing fingers at each other, trying to stay safe, because this set was chaos. And I think it's indicative of everyone that was part of that set, and whether you like them or dislike any of the people involved with this movie shoot, there was no leadership. And when you have no leadership, that's when bad things happen, especially when it comes to safety, and especially if you're going to have a movie set that has live firearms or even not live firearms, whatever the case is, on board. You need strong leadership to make sure that people are safe.
I guess I didn't even realize going into this that when they were filming, or that when they film films, that they're using actual functioning weapons that have the potential to fire off real bullets. I assumed, they were some sort of dummy or mock-up that's very similar, but, does something other than have the capability of firing off a real projectile, a real bullet. But I guess that's just how it's done.
I had no idea either.
Yeah.
I know that they're going to use real weapons, real replicas that are made, and I knew that was the job of the prop master to come up with these. I didn't realize there was an armor. And so, being a former Marine and veteran FBI guy, I know our armors. Our armors are generally old, crusty people with decades of experience working with firearms. I've never met a 23-year-old armor in my life, especially on a movie set.
And what is, the role here of the armorer, in a situation like this on a movie set? Is it her job to inspect every bullet that comes through? I mean, is she assuming that what's being given to her or what's being brought in already is correct? I mean, I would think that's almost what's going through your head. I don't know. I'm not a person that knows a whole lot about weapons or how to handle them or what's right and what's wrong. But I'm sure there's ways of doing that properly.
I don't know how it's run on a movie set either.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the two overlays I think that would apply to the movie set in this type of situation. Again, we'll use our conjecture hats. Typically, an armor is in charge of the functioning of the weapons, the safe functioning of the weapons, I should say, as well as the inventory of the weapons, as well as all the ammunition for the weapons. That's generally the armor's main job, is to keep things functioning, keep them safe, and keep them equipped. That and
That's
inventoried well.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder, because we're hearing testimony from many people on this film, because people are working this film and that show and this or that, and they're going from place to place. They even had mentioned recently working on the set of the 1812 or 18 something, the one that's a spinoff of Yellowstone. And coming from that with some of the same material. How often is this where they're having issues on set? I'm wondering, where they're having weapons firing when they shouldn't be, or the wrong type of bullet, obviously not a blank going off. I wonder how common this is, or was this more so just on this set because of the chaos and the lack of leadership that was going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I do know, because like friends and colleagues that become consultants for shows like this, whether they're former law enforcement, former military, that becomes a consultant for reality, and also a consultant for, hey, bring us your eyes to keep us safe, because we've never dealt with these things in our real life before. And so when you have a set that doesn't have anyone with a substantive background or reps dealing with firearms in a safe way and in a safe environment, you're going to have this kind of horrendous thing happen. And so I know there's a lot of other sets that use really, really good experts to bring that, not just flavor of reality, but definitely the element of safety when handling these things. I mean, our safety protocols, I was a firearms instructor as one of my adjunct duties in the FBI, and the amount of training I went through to become a firearms instructor was I proficient enough with the weapon to instruct others in it, and then taught how to instruct others with it. But 99% of your time is taught on how to run a range safely. And even though, I mean, every single time we would qualify in the FBI 4 times a year, and we would give the same safety briefing and update it as new developments come along every single time to agents that have been shooting the same weapon for 30 years, but we're given the same briefing every single time, having people repeat back to us exactly what we said, the same protocols on the line, establishing a pattern of safety first at all times. And to have a 23-year-old in charge of that kind of responsibility with no reps, it was highly it's not on her, because she didn't know what questions to ask necessarily, but it's on who's in charge. The leadership of that set and that production should know that this is what we need to have, and this is what we need to pay for. Because if you're trying to cut money someplace, you're going to cut money on areas like this.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, is this something where someone should end up behind bars, or is this a lot of everybody kind of did some things half-assed, whether knowing or not? I mean, I think there's some probably half-assed behavior here that maybe just ignorance of not having the reps, the experience to know to do this or that. And then this just turned out to be a horrible accident because of that.
Yeah, it's a horrible accident because of the chaos.
Yeah.
I have no idea whether someone's going to wind up behind bars or not.
Yeah.
It's you want to see accountability. I mean, and the family needs to feel whole. They never will, but they need to feel justice for the loss of their daughter. But I don't know how you do it in this situation when there's total chaos. You throw them all behind bars? I mean...
Or at the very least, a lesson learned that will reverberate into far more low-budget movie sets, or every movie set, really, but especially the low-budget ones, where they're looking to cut the corners and go, we're not going to cut that corner anymore because of this. And hopefully that makes an impact and prevents future things like this from happening, down the road. I don't know the stats. I don't know how common this sort of thing is. I don't know how much attention this got just because Alec Baldwin was attached to it. I mean, there's obviously thousands of movies and tons of low-budget movies that get made all the time with people who know nothing. It does make you wonder how often other things like this are going on. Hopefully not to this level, but maybe this will make an impact to prevent these sort of things from happening.
Yeah, I hope so. It's just sad and tragic that people just took for granted the safety of the people that they're working around.
Yeah.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial free.
So you can binge on true crime
Until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.